Welcome back. Bettors Podcast. Cody Mitchell here. Summit League Conference preview just knocked out the Ohio Valley. They had a little bit of chaos in it. To be honest with you, I don't really always remember. I got most of my bets in for most of these conferences, but I haven't sat down and completely remember them because I did pick every single game in every single conference tournament. That we have bracket for so far. But I've been fucking tired. I've been doing as much previews as I can. Trying to get up for March because it's going to be a crazy one. Doing a lot of stuff on Canva to try to get the designs look out. It's been through the gauntlet a little bit, but we are going to try to stay on track this time because I do like to get on a little bit of sidetrack. But we're going to start with the odds. As always, it's got two heavy favorites in the Summit. I believe this one is all played in one of the Dakotas. Probably should have researched this before I started. Summit League Tournament is all in Sioux Falls, Sioux Falls, I always say Seahawks. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, so it does give a little edge to both the Dakota schools. We do need to check on one game we did play here, and of course, Yo Monroe finds a way to probably backdoor this thing, and Old Dominion's going to blow the cover. Great. Just what we wanted to see. It is what it is. Had a pretty good night other than that. I do think Kansas was getting beat right after I said I'm going to stay on track. Let's see here. Kansas. Yeah, Kansas down 7. Bill Self got ejected, so probably going to light a little bit of a fire on him. That's I like to call it the Bill Self special. So, yes, two heavy favorites, and then we got a bunch of long shots down at the bottom. Then everybody else kind of right in the middle of the pack. As far as the odds go, St. Thomas comes in as the favorite in their first year, eligible to make the NCAA tournament this season. They're plus 135. North Dakota State is plus 140. Denver is 11-1. South Dakota State, normally not in this position here, especially at the tournament time. You're normally one of the two favorites, or if not the favorite. 12-1. Omaha's 15-1, the champions a year ago. South Dakota 25-1. North Dakota 35-1. Oral Roberts 130-1. We get real crazy. UMKC 400-1 the year before. Mark Turgeon is taking over in one of the weirdest coaching hires still of the offseason. Really, let's get right into the tournament. Pretty basic bracket. No reseeding, which I kind of like. It's just a little bit easier. Let's put this camera down just a tad. There we go. I'm going to put my name a little bit to the right. All right, there we go. So, yeah, we do have a play-in game here with Oral Roberts and UMKC in the Turd Fest. We just seen this game last weekend. It was an easy cover for Oral Roberts. I was actually on this one. Yeah, and we're just going to do the same thing here. Oral Roberts advances, no overthinking. UMKC's terrible. We'll see what Mark Turgeon can do in the future with his team. But for right now, the Roos are in a really bad spot, and they're just not a good basketball team. And Oral Roberts, I wouldn't call them world beaters, but I still think there's a pretty significant gap between UMKC and Oral Roberts. I mean, the odds reflect it as well. Granted, one's 130-1, but the other one's, 400-1? So it's still a pretty big movement there. But I don't think it's going to last very long here for Oral Bob here, because you do have to take on number 1, North Dakota State. And for me, pretty simple. Don't overthink it. Probably going to be a pretty big spread. I have the Bison advancing to the semifinals. In the 4-5 matchup, fun little game here, South Dakota versus Omaha, the defending champions. This is a little bit of a home game for South Dakota, but it's not actually a home game in Vermilion. And if you know anything about South Dakota, they're really good at home. I wouldn't say really good at home. They're good at home. They still kind of lose to some of the big dogs. But on the road, they do struggle. It's been a mess so far this year. Let's see the road record. You got 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, 0-7, 0-8. They did beat Omaha on the road, though. So 1-8. And then they got 2 more there. They were 3-8, and they ended up 3-11 to close the year out. It's not even the fact that it's South Dakota's away from home. And I mean, I know Sioux Falls is not terribly far from Vermilion. Granted, I really couldn't tell you where those two are on a map. Let's get this Cherry Coke Zero down. It's still not the same building. You're still not dealing with the same rims. I really don't like. I just don't see them having a chance. I know Omaha is not the same team they were a year ago, but Coach Crutchfield has coached in this tournament, and he got the team. They were the 1 seed last year, and it felt like they were the team that everybody was still a little bit down on. And the guy knows how to coach. He's been here. He's done that. I think Omaha takes care of business against South Dakota. Now, this one, it's just wild to see a 7 seed next to that South Dakota State logo. Like, what? They're a 7 seed? Now, they're going into Tommies. If you know anything about the Tommies, oddly enough, they were kind of good on they were, at least ATS-wise, was a team that was a lot better on the road than at home. They weren't covering the big spreads at home, and that was kind of the thing, is the spreads were really high. So it did kind of affect it a little bit, but Tommy's a really, really good basketball team. They're just really, really fundamental. Don't make a lot of mistakes. Take care of the basketball. Now, you are going against a team that's just been there, done that, and it's the culture. And you know, if you've been listening to this show long enough, you know how much I value, and no matter who the coach is, the culture still does matter, and it does lead to winning. But South Dakota State, just the offense hasn't been there. They've been able to play defense. They're still in the top 3 in the Summit defensively, but offensively, they just seem like they don't have the shooters they used to. You used to just turn a South Dakota State game on and see some white kid just spraying threes, and really that this year just wasn't that. No, they were not even, they were in the bottom, they were the middle tier, the actual middle in the conference, and shooting at something you just don't really see from South Dakota State. I think the Tommies are a little more fundamentally sound. They play better defense. It's new school. They haven't been there before, but I do think they get the win here, and they advanced to the semifinals. Now, North Dakota and Denver in the 3-6 matchup, I do think, oddly enough, Denver is a bigger favorite to advance than the Fighting Hawks. The 6 seed's got better odds than the 3 seed. And I think this 3 seed, man, the Hawks been a little underrated. And it might be because they lost 3 of 5 down the stretch. But you look at those losses, 1 was to Denver, but 2 were to North Dakota State, and 1 was South Dakota State on the road in Sioux Falls. So they're going back to that building. They got Denver on the road earlier in the year. Did get tripped up by them at home, but I really do like this North Dakota's team. I don't know what it is, because if you look at them analytically, and that might be why we're getting some of the odds this way, they don't really stand out. They're one of the worst defensive teams in this league, but they're a top 4 offensive team in this league. And one thing I do know about the Fighting Hawks is their ability to win games close. They've won a ton of games by a little margin, and it's probably why the analytics just don't fall in love with them, because there's not a lot to really fall in love with. But I think I think Souther's a good coach, and I think he's going to get the Hawks up for this one. And especially, I mean, they're probably going to be underdogs in the game, and I think he can use that as a little bit of motivation too. Just also not really high on Denver. So, I mean, you probably already know, but I have North Dakota advancing to the semifinals. And then the semifinals up top here, we have North Dakota State and Omaha. Yeah, they've been there before. They've done that, but I still think North Dakota State is a little bit better. They're not the class of the conference, but they're always right there. I think this is the year they have a chance to break through, and I think they advance to the title game. Now, in the other semifinal game, you have St. Thomas and North Dakota. This is where I'm going to go off the beaten path a little bit, because I'm going to take the Fighting Hawks, or the Fighting Sioux, to upset St. Thomas and advance to the title game for an all North Dakota Summit League title game. These teams played twice this season. I think the home team won both games. Yes, the home team won both games. I think I like North Dakota a little more athletic than St. Thomas, and I think they can get them in some spots with their offense. that really is going to test the St. Thomas defense a little bit. And like you go from not being eligible to make the NCAA tournament. Now you're the 2 seed. You're the favorites. You have the target on your back. And I think I'm smelling an upset here, man. Give me North Dakota to advance the title game. And like I said, all North Dakota Summit League title game. But I do think the champion is chalk, is the 1 seed. And after all those years being right there, I think they finally bust through. Dave Richmond gets North Dakota State to the NCAA tournament. Now, as far as my best bets, I didn't put a lot on there because I do think St. Thomas and North Dakota State are probably the best 2 teams in the league. Yes, I have North Dakota pulling the upset off. But I would be shocked if either of these 2 teams win because I don't see a path where anybody on the other side of the bracket here, let's go back just a little bit, but I don't see anybody in this 4-5 range, or Roberts is getting eliminated in the second round. I don't see South Dakota or Omaha beating them. So I think they're finding their way to the title game regardless. And then I think whoever wins the North Dakota and St. Thomas game is getting there as well. So, I mean, you can bet all of these and you're going to be up money. Now, if I'm going to put North Dakota in the title game, you got to take 35-1. And again, shop around. These are all lines are from DraftKings, and you can find better lines out there somewhere else. Shop around before you make any of these bets. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Dave Richmond in the Bison. But if you're looking for a juicy future, I do think there's a shot here for the Fighting Hawks. So, appreciate everybody tuning in. A couple more we're going to bust out tonight. It's almost there, man. We got day games tomorrow. No day games Thursday, though, weirdly, for tournaments. They all start at 4:30 is the earliest one. But until then, I'll see you guys. I'm out here.